Hi, my name is Rich, and welcome to the channel. The usual upload schedule is supposed to be Friday and Monday, but there's 30 days left until Tasha's Cauldron of Everything arrives, so I thought I'd try and do something a little bit different. I don't know if I'll be able to commit to this, but I want to try and do 30 videos in 30 days, all about the possibilities of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. In this video, we're going to cover the Wild Magic Barbarian, which has been officially confirmed by Wizards of the Coast, and it was announced on the D&D Celebration 2020. It's Tasha's Cauldron of Everything preview content, and if you check the pinned comment, there should be a link to the official PDF. Make sure you subscribe so you're always in the loop and in the know with the latest D&D content. Now, let's get started. The Path of the Wild Magic Barbarian. Many places in the multiverse abound with beauty, intense emotion, and rampant magic. The Feywild, the upper planes, and other realms of supernatural power radiate with such forces and can profoundly influence people. As folk of deep feeling, barbarians are especially susceptible to these wild influences, with some barbarians being transformed by the magic. These magic-suffused barbarians walk the path of wild magic. Elf, Tiefling, Aasimar, and Gensai barbarians often seek this path, eager to manifest the otherworldly magics of their ancestors. I'm a big fan of this subclass. It seems like there is no downsides to any of the skills that you get. There's a wild magic effect table to roll on, but there's not a lot of risk and there's lots of reward. Let's start off with level 3. The level 3 Path of the Wild Magic feature is Magic Awareness. As an action, you can open your awareness to the presence of concentrated magic. Until the end of your next turn, you know the location of any spell or magic item within 60 feet of you that isn't behind total cover. When you sense a spell, you learn which school of magic it belongs to. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you can regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. I feel like this gives some much needed utility to a barbarian. They can be a very straightforward and melee focused class, with not much roleplay elements, but this adds an extra level and helps contribute towards the exploration part of the game. Also at level 3, you get Wild Surge. The magical energy roiling inside you sometimes erupts from you. When you enter your rage, roll on the Wild Magic table to determine the magic effect produced. If the effect requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your constitution modifier. Now this is the Wild Magic table I was hyping up at the start of the video. Let's go through some of the effects. If you roll a d8 and you get a 1, each creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of you must succeed on a constitution saving throw or take 1d12 necrotic damage. You also gain temporary hit points equal to your 1d12 plus your barbarian level. Well, rolling a 1 looks like you can deal more damage and get those temporary hit points, which are pretty much doubled with a barbarian if you take into account their resistance to bludgeoning, piercing and slashing damage. And the teleportation from rolling a 2 is very handy to jump between targets. If you roll a 3, an intangible spirit, which looks like a flump or a pixie, your choice, appears within 5 feet of one creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of you. At the end of your current turn, the spirit explodes, and each creature within 5 feet of it must succeed on a dex save or take 1d6 force damage. Until your rage ends, you can use this effect again, summoning another spirit on each of your turns as a bonus action. Now this looks like some good AoE damage, but I don't know if it would scale very well at later levels. On the Wild Magic chart, if you roll a 4, a bolt of lightning shoots from your chest. Another creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of you must succeed on a constitution saving throw or take 1d6 radiant damage and be blinded until the start of your next turn. until your rage ends, you can use this effect again on each of your turns as a bonus action. Well, 3 out of the 4 we've already covered take your bonus action into account, so with a Barbarian, after you rage, there's not much else to do with your bonus action, so this is a good complement and helps you maximise the amount of things you can do on your turn. If you roll a 5 on the Wild Magic table, whenever a creature hits you with an attack roll before your rage ends, this creature takes 1d6 force damage as magic lashes out in retribution. For a more tanky Barbarian, this is perfect, especially when you're fighting against lots of low hit points mobs instead of a big 1v1 versus. If you roll a 6, until your rage ends, you are surrounded by multicoloured protective lights. You gain a +1 bonus to AC, and while within 10 feet of you, your allies gain the same bonus. This is fantastic if you're trying to protect the more squishy targets in your group. Any wizards or sorcerers, just get up close to them and share the love. On the Wild Magic table, if you roll a 7, flowers and vines temporarily grow around you. Until your rage ends, the ground within 15 feet of you is difficult terrain for your enemies. For a more mobile Barbarian, this can be a really good effect, stopping people from running away and can really disrupt the battlefield. And it does tie back into the Feywild thematics of the Barbarian subclass. If you roll an 8, magic infuses one weapon of your choice that you're holding. Until your rage ends, the weapon damage type changes to force, and it gains the light and throner properties, with a normal range of 20 feet and a long range of 60 feet. If the weapon leaves your hand, the weapon reappears in your hand at the end of the current turn. Reminds me of Thor a bit, throwing his hammer and then having it returned to him. I think that this is probably situational. It's nice to get the thrown property, but if you're already engaged in melee combat, it's not very practical. At level 6, the Barbarian gets Bolstering Magic. You can harness your wild magic to bolster yourself or a companion. As an action, you can touch one creature, which can be yourself, and confer one of the following benefits of your choice to that creature. For 10 minutes, the creature can roll a d3 whenever making an attack roll or an ability check and add the number rolled to the d20 roll, or roll a d3. The creature regains one expended spell slot, equals the number rolled or lower, the creature's choice. Once a creature receives this benefit, the creature can't receive it again until after a long rest. You can take this action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you can regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. This is a fantastic support feature, almost turning your barbarian into a bard of sorts. If you've ever seen a d3 die, it looks very strange. I'm sure if you roll a d6 and count 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 5 and 6 as 3 different options, it could work. And being able to give spell slots back to a creature is a great way to help players that don't have a lot of spell slots. The Warlock comes to mind specifically. At level 10, you gain Unstable Backlash. When you are imperiled during your rage, the magic within you can lash out. Immediately after you take damage or fail a saving throw while raging, you can use your reaction to roll on the Wild Magic table and immediately produce the effect rolled. This effect replaces your current Wild Magic effect. This does add a little bit more randomness to the Barbarian. I think at level 10, it's a great way to reuse the Wild Magic table, and definitely adds a bit of spice to your game. And finally, at level 14, you get Controlled Surge. Whenever you roll on the Wild Magic table, you can roll the die twice and choose which of the 2 effects to unleash. If you roll the same number on both dice, you can ignore the number and choose any effect on the table. I think that any player that likes to play Barbarian is just looking for an excuse to roll as many dice as possible, so Controlled Surge is a great way to add an extra 1 to the top. Overall, this seems like a more safe version of a Wild Magic sorcerer, in the sense that there are benefits but there are no downsides to rolling on the Wild Magic table. And as a barbarian, it can add a lot of support and utility. That is something the barbarian lacks. It takes the barbarian away from a one-dimensional character and adds a lot of depth to them. And plus, the roleplay aspects are fantastic. Being able to connect to the Wild Magic, I'm sure you could bounce off a druid quite easily, or have conflict with a lawful good paladin, who's very low on order type. Well, tune in tomorrow for the next video. As I said in the beginning, this is the first of 30 on the road to Tasha's Cauldron of everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you later. Goodbye.